friends, welcome to my humble home and garden side chat. Today I'm going to get in the kitchen and we are going to do some meal preps here. It is garden season, so I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I do like to make meals from scratch, so I'm going to do a little prep work. On those busy days I can have stuff I can just pull out of the freezer, have it ready to go, and if these are things you're interested in, come along. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some cabbage rolls. Now I remember being little and my grandpa's Polish, and I remember I used to be like, oh, they smell so horrible, and I never understood, but then when we ate them, we liked them. So now what I'm doing right now is, and let me bring you down here, I just blanching the cabbage. I brought a pot of water to boil. And then I put the whole head of cabbage first I cut the bottom, maybe just like a quarter of an inch off the bottom. And I boil it for 2 minutes so that the cabbage softens and we can get off these big pieces like this to make our cabbage rolls. So the recipe calls for 8. You know me, I'm going to try to double it. So I'm going to do about 16 of these. And then you just pull off as many as you can. And then when it's hard to pull off, you just throw it back into the boiling water for another 2 minutes, and then you pull these off. So that's how I'm getting our cabbage leaves for the cabbage roll. Now, most of the recipes that I'm doing today are going to be pretty keto friendly, pretty low carb. You can do them however, you can keep them keto friendly. I think there's one that you can serve over egg noodles. You can make your own keto egg noodles. Or you can also use the miracle noodles. I've gotten those at Costco. This one normally calls for, so I have recipes that I have based mine off, but then I do kind of put my little twist on them. So I will link the bases of the recipes. So I'm gonna link the recipes below in the description of the bases of the recipes that I'm using. And then you can see here how I kind of adjust them to keep them real low carb. A lot of my family and friends are keto, so these are actual recipes that they can enjoy. I just try to watch my carbs. I'm not 100% keto, but I do like to watch my carbs. You can do it however you like. For this cabbage roll recipe, I'm actually going to use we're doing the 3 Rivers Challenge in June, trying to clean off our pantries and our freezers, make space for this upcoming season. So I'm going to use 2 cans of my canned ground beef. And in the other recipes, I had already pre-ground up a bunch of ground beef that I got from the farmers, and I'm going to be using that in the other recipes coming up. All right, so let's get into this and come along. I'm going to wait for this cabbage to get done, and then we're going to make up the filling for it. Okay, so what I have going here is I am chopping up some onions with my chopper, dicing them up here. So I just chop them up into quarters. And here I have some jarred crushed tomatoes and a little bit of basil. I also went out to my garden and I got some thyme, rosemary, and basil. And I'm going to chop this up and I'm going to put it in this mixture as well, just to give it a little bit of freshness. So I'm going to put that onion in there. I have 1 can of ground beef. I'm going to do another can here of ground beef. Now you can brown up regular ground beef, or if you pre-brown it, you can use that as well. And it says you can use uncooked rice if you want to use regular rice. I know a lot of people do. I'm saving my fat from the ground beef because I can use that to make other things like in rice, or I can use it in soups, roasts, things like that. So I just save that not to waste any of that goodness. And I just throw that in there, using up what we have in the pantry. This is such an easy way to cook, having all this stuff prepped ahead of time. And now I'm going to add to that, I'm going to add some garlic. And these I'm making in the slow cooker, as you can see here. I'll just add some garlic. And I have some of this leftover sauce that I used in another recipe we have coming up. So I'm going to pour this in here as the bottom sauce. Let me get a spatula. So I'm just, as to not waste it, and it was just a little bit left. So I thought, I put a little bit of the tomato sauce that I had. So I thought I'm going to add just this with it, just to kind of have a little bit of sauce at the bottom that we're going to put the cabbage rolls on. I am going to use this cauliflower rice that I have. Now you can use it, and this is frozen. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work out because it says to use uncooked rice, so we are going to see. But I thought for me it's a good way to keep my carbs down. Oh, and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. It says a teaspoon, so it would really be 2 teaspoons. There we go. And some salt and pepper. Here's some sea salt, and here is my pepper. Oh, and I want to chop up my fresh herbs and get those in there as well. So we're just going to sprinkle those all around, mix this up, see how it looks. And then this is going to be the filling for my cabbage rolls. I think that's looking pretty good here, actually. All right, and then let me get something that I can show you how we're going to roll the cabbage rolls up on. And now, just because I always like to add a little extra veggie, I'm going to show you, this is what I would put my green powder in. So I'm going to get some green powder and just add some extra into here. Using more stuff off the pantry, and plus we have more growing in the garden, so I'll be making more. So that just adds extra veggies, more nutrition to it. I know this is a nice, has a lot of vegetables in it, but we really should be having a good 6 to 8 servings of vegetables a day. So this is a great way to sneak those vegetables in, whether it's for yourself, your family. So adding more, and with the spices and the sauces, you really can't taste them at all. So it is a great way to sneak, and especially if there's kinds of vegetables you don't like kale, if you don't like kale, spinach, a lot of the leafy greens, or even I use the tops of the celery, and I do that because there's just so much goodness. I don't waste any of it, and I dry them up and powder them up and throw them in there. Let's go ahead and assemble these cabbage rolls here. We are going to take a cabbage leaf here, a large leaf. We are going to put a scoop of the mixture in there, right in the middle. And then we are going to roll it up like a burrito. So we're going to go one side, and one side like that. And then I'm going to put it down into the pan like this. I'll show you when I get them done. Let's try another one. So we're going to take a scoop of the mixture. We'll do one side here, one side here. And we'll roll it up like a burrito. Like this. There we go. And I will put it in my slow cooker here. Okay. And I am going to continue making these cabbage rolls until I run out of them. If I run out and I still have some mixture left, what I think I will do is I will freeze the mixture until I have another cabbage that is grown out of my garden and ready to make some more. So we'll see. I see how many cabbage leaves I have left. So I'm going to make this. This is what they look like so far in my slow cooker. And then we're gonna make some other things like some zucchini pizza casserole. I'm gonna make some freezer dump meals coming up, so we can just keep them in freezer meals, put in freezer bags, throw them in the freezer, and have them to pull out when we need a quick meal. So stay tuned for those. Okay, so here is what I have in the slow cooker. Now I made a double recipe, and this is how much meat mixture I still have left. I'm gonna put this in a freezer container and freeze it for when my next cabbage is ready out of the garden. And I just have to say, I can picture my grandpa Wydella now. He had a wonderful woodshed out back on their property, and he was an amazing wood maker. And he would pipe that polka music out into the woodshed. That was his man cave. And I don't know what he'd think of me making cabbage rolls, because we used to always complain so much of them. But I guess, Grandpa, I grew up. So here are my cabbage rolls, a dedication to my Gramps. All right, you guys, we'll move on to the next recipe. I am going to continue doing some of these freezer meals. These are actually meals you can cook now, or I'm going to pre-make them for the freezer. So right now I'm going to do an easy and quick Fiesta soup. And what I did was I have my hamburger already pre-ground here, and this is 2 pounds of hamburger. So this recipe calls for 1 pound. So I am going to take out half of this and put it in this recipe, and then half in one of the other ones. So we've got 1 pound of ground beef. This is 1 small onion dice. I was gonna dice the onion, but since I'm kind of on my break, I'm just gonna use about a half a cup of my minced onions. I still have quite a bit of those left up. Then it says a can of drained corn. Now, since I'm doing this pantry challenge with Jessica from Three Rivers, I'm using what I have, and I have this organic corn in my freezer. I do know that I need 3/4 of a cup for another one of my recipes, so I'm going to take 3/4 of a cup out and then put the rest in here. Put the corn in there. And this says undrained, so it's a can of corn, but like I said, I'm using what I have. And then it says 1 can of pinto beans undrained. So I do have these pinto beans that I got. I believe I got these at Aldi. But if you grow your own, that's good too. It says undrained, but these are nice and stuck in here. And then also a can of petite diced tomatoes. So I do have a can of petite diced tomatoes, undrained, so put those in here. And I will leave the link to these recipes below as well. The ones that I based it off, there are a couple differences in some of them, and you can see that I'm doing here. In this one, it's coming up, and I will tell you. This also calls for a can of Rotel tomatoes. This I'm putting in, I just have a Casa. I got this at Aldi, so these diced tomatoes with chilies. That's what I'm using, but it's pretty much similar. Now here's where I'm making a substitute. This recipe calls for Velveeta, a pound of Velveeta. So I just got some Mexican style cheese, and it calls for a pound, a 14-ounce bag. So I'm just gonna put this whole bag in here. Yes, and then this will just be cooked up, heated up pretty much, because everything's already cooked. My meat's already cooked. So this I'm going to freeze this like this. And then when I take it out and I want to make a meal out of it, I am literally just going to heat this in a slow cooker on low until everything's mixed and heated through. So this is really full. And this will be a nice pot of beef. Oh, I used the wrong one. This is supposed to be beef tamale. This is supposed to be easy Fiesta soup. So I'm just going to have to relabel this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dump it all in there because I have the directions on here. See if I can do this without making a huge mess. Okay, good. I transferred that without making a huge mess, which is very unlike me. I'm happy. I only did that because this has the directions on it. I'm going to clean off the top just so when I seal it. Okay, so this is the easy and quick Fiesta soup. That looks nice and clean on the top. All right. And the next one I am going to make is a skillet fried beef tamales. So in here I have my pound of ground beef. And then to that, I am going to add 2 cups of salsa. My salsa's gone. So this is some salsa I got at Aldi. And I am just going to use this whole jar here. Just can't go wrong with salsa, right? And then a 1/3 cup chopped and of red and a 1/3 cup of green pepper. So I just put a little bit of frozen peppers in there. All right, so I just had to run and get some dehydrated green peppers because I didn't have any in the freezer, which I thought I did. So I just added some green peppers to there, but the recipe calls for a 1/3 cup of green and a 1/3 cup of red peppers. Pantry challenge, I'm just using what I have. But anyway, it's great because I'm trying to clean off my pantry. And then it says 2 tablespoons of water, but I am going to save that for when I do decide to reheat and cook it. It also calls for 6 corn tortillas, which is another thing I'm going to throw that in the skillet. Then 3/4 of a cup of frozen corn, which I have here. That will do this. 3/4 of a cup of cheddar. It says reduced fat cheddar, but I'm going to do regular right there. And then it says 5 tablespoons of sour cream, which I did take out. However, sour cream and the corn tortillas are going to be when you cook it. So for this, I'm just going to do it like this. And then when we cook it, we will skillet all of this together. And then we'll slice up the corn tortillas into strips and skillet that with it. And then we'll serve it with the sour cream. And that will be our skillet beef tamales. So yummy, yummy. There's 2 Mexican dishes right there. And why I'm doing this now is because it is garden season. It is a little midway pantry challenge. So I'm trying to use up what I have and have some quick dinners ready for when I'm busy preserving and in the garden and just don't have time to do stuff. So the next one I'm gonna do, so look at how fast this is. We just got 2 meals. And I did not have enough stuff. Normally, you know how I like to double everything, but I did not have enough stuff in my house to double these recipes, which is fine. I'm still using it up and I'll still have some fun meals ready. So now I am going to do just a beef skillet, just a homey beef skillet. So I've got my pound of ground beef in here. And to that, I'm gonna add some minced garlic, a teaspoon of minced garlic. Next year, you guys, I'm gonna grow garlic. I didn't grow any this year because number one, I didn't have any room and I just wasn't sure about it. But next year I'm gonna grow some. So I'm kind of excited about that. I really wanna have garlic scapes. I've been watching, I watch a few people, but I've been watching Jessica preserve her garlic scapes and I'm like, yes, I want those. I bought garlic scapes last year at the farmer's market and they are expensive. So that kind of got me excited about that. But every year it's something new. And then to that, we're going to add 1 10-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup. Now I did make my own cream of mushroom soup that I've had in the freezer. So I am going to toss this in here. It is still frozen, which is great because I'm going to put this back in the freezer. So I didn't really thaw it out. So there we go. Threw that back in there. With that, we're going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and then a teaspoon of dried parsley. I actually have some fresh parsley here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. And then 2/3 cup sour cream. And this goes in here right now too. So this is kind of going to be like a beef stroganoff-y type thing. And then this I'm going to freeze. And then when I take this out, I'm going to heat all of this. You can heat it all together in a skillet, or you can heat it all together in a slow cooker. Either one, because my beef's already cooked. You serve this over egg noodles. I also have some miracle noodles if you don't want to, if you want to keep it kind of low carb or keto friendly. So those are options. So now I'm going to do some zucchini casserole pizza, which we can freeze in a pan. I like to use these glass pans that I freeze in. I try to get them at thrift stores, garage sales, wherever you can find them. If you don't want to freeze it, you can bake it right away and have it, or bake it in individual or however. Combine zucchini with eggs, Parmesan, half a mozzarella and cheddar, and press into greased pan. This, we are going to do 2 eggs with, this is 4 cups of zucchini. And this is zucchini that I had from last year in the freezer. I have already shredded it with my shredder. I just pulled that out. 2 eggs, half a cup of Parmesan. What we will do, that's a lot of Parmesan. There we go, half a cup of Parmesan. 1 cup of mozzarella. The whole recipe calls for 2 cups, so we're using half of the mozzarella in here. So I'm assuming this is making the crust, which is going to be a low, no carb crust, which is kind of nice. I do try to watch my carbs. I am not full-fledged keto like my kids, but I do try to keep my carbs low. 1 cup of shredded cheese divided. So it looks like we're going to do half of the shredded cheese here. So half a cup of shredded cheese. Then we're going to mix this up here together. And I did spray this with my natural olive oil spray. So it says to grease a pan here. All right, and then we are going to pour this into the bottom of the pan and make it into a little crust casserole here. I'm almost thinking about leaving this and baking it. It's too late for me to bake tonight, but leaving this in the fridge and baking it tomorrow, and then doing like just freezing individual things and having this as one of my meals for the week. Then, what does it say to do after that? Meanwhile, in a large saucepan, cook beef and onion over medium heat. Okay, we have that. So I guess we're just going to mix the rest of the ingredients and top it over the top. How does that sound? So beef, onion, tomato sauce, and peppers. I'm just going to munch this up over the top. I do have some onions, some mushrooms too. So you can kind of make this as you go, like whatever you like on your pizza. And I did a video where I did brown up 10 pounds of ground beef to make a head for the freezer. I can link that below too, but I did that in my Nesco, which was really nice because you can see how easy this is making this meal prepping here. So we do have these mushrooms, which I do need to, I don't know what I needed them for, but I'm going to pour some mushrooms. These are dehydrated mushrooms. Pour some of those on because I like mushrooms on my beef, and mushrooms are really good. Onions. Said to add a little onion, so I'll just add a little bit of dehydrated onions. Peppers. I'll add some dehydrated. So whatever you guys like. Add a little bit of zucchini on there for just a little extra veggies. I got some marinara sauce. I am just going to top it over the, it says Italian tomato sauce. This is going to be my Italian tomato sauce. And I am just going to top this over the top. I don't know that I'm going to need all of it. Topping it off with the cheese. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit of Parmesan on the top. Just a little bit. Then we're going to do the little bit of cheddar. And then a cup of the mozzarella. This looks delicious. And this is super low carb. So I'm just going to cover this. I'm going to freeze the other freezer meals. And thanks so much for watching, you guys. Be blessed. I'll link the recipes below. If you like more videos like this, comment. Let me know what you're interested in, and I will do more. Thanks so much, you guys. Be blessed. Have a great day. Bye.